Hello, Facebook. How are you tonight? I'm doing great. I really am. Feeling good. Hey, so today is day 26. Day 26. Day 26. 14 more days. That's only 2 weeks. It's kind of weird to think about, but we are 2 short weeks away from being completely and totally done with this 40-day juice cleanse, the juice fast, juice feast, juice for all, juice-orama, whatever you want to call it. Huh? So my wife is making noises off of the camera, trying to drag my attention away from you all, and put that away for now. So, hey, I bought Italian kale today. I went to the store. Fred Meyer's was apparently closing early today for Christmas Eve, despite the fact their website said they weren't. Hello, Fred Meyer. But they were closing early, so I was in a hurry, and I couldn't find the right kale that I was looking for, so I found Italian kale. Do you want to know the difference between Italian kale and regular kale? Italian kale says, ciao. Okay, it's a bad joke, but I'm not 100% sure really what Italian kale tastes like, so we will find that out as I mix that into my mean greens for the next couple of days. Other than that, the research has begun in earnest. I'm sitting actually here at my computer screen right now. I've been reading like a madman trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to approach the post-juice lifestyle and post-juice life? And no, I will not be running out on the day after the juice fast is done and cramming my craw full of a bunch of hamburgers and cheeseburgers and everything else that I haven't had for the last 40 days. That would be absolutely stupid. So, what am I going to do? Great question. I still don't have a good answer. I want to take some time. According to what I read today, it said that you should take 4 days, or you should take 1 day, I'm sorry, for every 4 days you were on your fast to come off of your fast. So with being on it for 40 days, that would mean that I'd be looking at about a 10-day coming off of the juice cleanse, juice fast, juice-orama, juice, juicy McJuicington, juice Jaloo, juice juicy. Ugh. Either way, it would be about 10 days to come off of that. And I'm not 100% sure what that should look like. I'm kind of toying with the idea of introducing foods slowly. For example, like starting with dairy, or maybe starting with wheat, or starting with, just to find out whether or not there's any overall sensitivities. You know, when it comes to food, and when it comes to the way that I've eaten in the past, I mean, obviously I was eating all kinds of garbage, and I didn't always feel great after eating some of those things, and I don't know whether or not that was due to food allergies or just due to it being junk food or what. So I thought it might be kind of smart to add things back in somewhat of an order and to kind of try to figure out how all that goes back in. The problem is I'm finding 50,000 different ideas as to how and why and what order to put things back in. Some folks suggest starting with dairy right off the bat. Other people suggest starting with wheat, and so overwhelmed a little bit on that, trying to find kind of information that is decent. Shannon and I are going to watch a documentary tonight called Food Matters on Netflix. Once we get the kids put to bed and get everything all squared away, we're going to check that out and see kind of what it talks about. It sounds like that one really advocates a specific type of diet when it's for the American public. I'm curious to hear what they have to say. So I'm going to scope that out and do some additional reading as well. But for the most part, what I'm seeing is a post-juice fast diet. I'm seeing majority of definitely plant-based diet, period. That it's mostly raw vegetables, salads, maybe very lightly steamed vegetables. And then I'd like to do a lot of just lean and whole proteins. And so I'm thinking a lot of nuts and seeds. I'm thinking, a lot of just real lean meats, lean chicken, lean beef. And I'd like to do most of our beef with pasture raised and free range chicken and all that stuff, plus egg and whatever else. So the trick, though, being that the majority of that plate, instead of, having a plate out here and having, this much steak and a little itty-bitty vegetable over here, looking at it from a standpoint of this much salad and a little bit of meat over here, maybe with some nuts and seeds and other things on there. I don't want to necessarily cut everything out, but also recognize that I can't go back to doing what I was doing. That, by putting your body into this mode, in this fast, if you're not careful with what goes back in, you will gain it all back plus more. And I recognize that and see that and understand that. So that's just kind of the direction that we're going. The problem is there is so much information out there on what people suggest for overall diet and everything else. I mean, there's paleo, there's whole food, there's raw, I mean, it's stupid how much as a people, as humanity, we have found ways to get ourselves fat, and then everybody has an idea on how to not be fat anymore. And now, so we have all these, we get the South Beach diet, the blah, 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 blah. The way I look at it, you make common sense, smart approaches to the food that you eat. You don't eat a ton of it. I think Michael Pollan probably said it best in the book, The Omnivore's Dilemma. Eat food, real food. Eat real food, not processed garbage. Eat food. Not that much food, and mostly plants. And we actually have that little quote right above our kitchen sink in our kitchen. Eat food, not that much, essentially, mostly plants. And, you know, I think that's probably a good rule of thumb overall. I looked at those little snap pea crisp things, you know. Trader Joe's actually makes one that is like, it's got peas in it, it's got a little bit of salt, and it's got some oil. Which is, I love that. 3 ingredients, money, love it. I was at Roth's today and turned one of those things over, one that they had that was fairly inexpensive. And I couldn't even pronounce 3/4 of the list of ingredients in it, and it was just full of all kinds of stuff. And it's like we've taken regular food and we've turned it into an engineered product, like we've done everything else. Regular wood isn't good enough to build houses, so we make engineered beams. You know, did I say food or wood? It kind of rhymes. Regular wood isn't good enough to make houses out of, so now we have glue lambs, we have engineered products all over the place, versus just what we used to have for wood and everything else. Well, in today's food culture, we have a lot of engineered things that really truly are not food. They're an engineered product. And so my goal with this whole thing was to get myself to the point where my taste buds operated in such a way that I wouldn't crave that garbage anymore, and I could focus more on whole fruits and vegetables, you know, raw fruits, raw foods to a certain extent, as much as I can. It's a chore. I did a raw diet after my last juice cleanse for about 15 to 20 days, and it really was a chore. I mean, spending all that time, the dehydrator was on the counter constantly. You know, I made some pretty cool stuff, dehydrated some like potato chips that were kind of cool. But I don't know that I'm going to go that overboard on this. Just at this point, my idea here is like 80% vegetarian. And the other 20% is nothing but lean meat and an egg. And I don't have a problem. I'm not one of those people who has issues with animals from a standpoint of that. I hunt, I fish. I've got no problem killing animals. Sorry, anybody out there who does. But it doesn't bother me in the least. So that's not my reason for doing this. It's just that animal protein, if you're not careful, you eat too much of it, it can cause issues in your body. It acidifies the body. It's hard to digest. So anyway, that's kind of the thoughts on this. I've got so much more reading to do. If you know anything about this, if you've done this before, if you have suggestions, I'd love to hear it. Truthfully love to hear it, especially if you've done an elimination plus re-adding things in. A suggestion on order of things to put things back in would be fantastic. In other news, Shannon bought me jammies. Check these out. They have fish stuff on them. Hard to see, I'm sure. They're size 40 to 42. I fit in a size 40 to 42 now. That's a little bit unreal. So, kind of cool. But anyway, I am going to check out for this evening. Gus, I got to see a video with Gus and Nathan today that was really, really cool. Nathan seems like a really neat guy. So, but it was really cool to see that. And just kind of keep plugging away. I mean, just keep... If you be drinking the juice, keep drinking the juice. You know, it's 14 more days. And I got a couple people joining up for 10 days right at the very end, which would be cool. I know Diana's starting up here in a couple of days. So she can end with us at the same time, but just do the 10-day deal. So that's awesome. That's great. So coming to a close. It's a little bit of a trip to be thinking, you know, really you get to this point and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel the day after Thanksgiving, you know, but now you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and this thing's kind of coming to a close, which is interesting. Now the end game begins. This chess game, now we start the end game. Figure out how we're going to get everything into position to get ourselves set up for the rest of the go. So anyway, good night to all, and I am not going to say that. Have a fantastic evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you tomorrow on day 27.